Hello, and welcome back to another episode recap where I'll lay out 5 things that I learned from my conversation with a historical expert. And today, we'll go back to the classic 1955 adventure film from Disney called Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. If you have Disney Plus, you can watch it right now. That's the movie about the American folk hero, Davy Crockett. Now, if you're a regular listener to the audio version of the Based on a True Story podcast, you'll know that I had author Michael Wallace on the show to talk about the historical accuracy of the movie. Michael is the author of what many reviewers consider to be the best biography about Crockett, called David Crockett, the Lion of the West. Well, that episode with Michael was almost an hour long, so if you don't have the time to listen to the whole thing yet, well, that's why I'm here today in this video to recap 5 things I learned about the movie Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, during my discussion with Michael. So let's get started. Number 1. Davy Crockett, the peace negotiator. According to the movie, it's Davy Crockett who has a one-on-one fight with an Indian chief before negotiating the peace that puts an end to hostilities between Andrew Jackson's soldiers and the Creek Nation. That is not accurate at all. Michael flat out told me that Davy Crockett was not a negotiator, even though it is true that Davy Crockett was in the Tennessee militia during the Creek War. He did not negotiate the peace that ended the war. Number 2. Davy Crockett's coonskin cap. The movie would have us believe that Davy Crockett's preferred outfit was a buckskin jacket and a coonskin cap. Michael explained that the real David Crockett preferred a hat known as a Pennsylvania hunter's hat, because the broad rim on the hat would protect him from the sun while he was outside, which he was a lot. Oh, and as a fun bit of trivia, another common character from American history that a lot of people get confused with Davy Crockett is Daniel Boone, partially because of the coonskin cap thing, and partially because they were both American frontiersmen who were played by Fess Parker in different TV shows. But Michael clarified that the real Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone didn't even know each other. Number 3. Crockett's family life. The movie shows Davy Crockett's wife dying just before he began his political career. Michael shared with me that Mr. Crockett's real wife outlived him, so that part of the movie isn't true at all. Michael also explained that, to put it simply, Davy Crockett was not a very good husband. He was away from home so much that by the time his political career came to an end, he and his wife were estranged. Number 4. Davy Crockett, the politician. During his time as a politician, Davy Crockett railed against Andrew Jackson's Indian Removal Act. Ultimately, President Andrew Jackson got the bill passed. The act was signed into law in May of 1831, and that gave the U.S. government the legal right to forcibly remove thousands of families from their ancestral lands and march to the West in what we now know as the Trail of Tears, or as Michael clarified, multiple Trails of Tears. There was more than just one. It was Crockett's stance against the Indian Removal Act that spelled the end of his political career and simultaneously won him the respect of Indians around the nation as someone who spoke up for them when it seemed no one else would. Number 5. Davy Crockett on stage. Today, we're familiar with the legends of Davy Crockett thanks in large part to the various stories that have been created about him in entertainment. For example, the very movie that we're talking about now, Disney's 1955 film, Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. That's just one of many movies that have covered the life and stories of Davy Crockett. Now, one thing that I thought was really cool that Michael told me about was the time when Davy Crockett actually met a character based on him on stage. It was in Washington, D.C., and Crockett had gone to see a play that was largely based on Crockett's life and adventures. In this case, the character that was based on Davy Crockett was named Nimrod Wildfire. So I'm sure you can guess how accurate he was to the real events, but then we're all familiar with the creative license about characters that are based on a true story. And that's all for today, and hopefully you enjoyed this episode recap of 5 things that I learned from Michael Wallace about the movie Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. If you want to hear how the real Davy Crockett reacted to his onstage persona in Nimrod Wildfire, and plenty of other stories and facts about the real Mr. David Crockett, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Michael and I talked about a lot more than just these 5 things that I've talked about in this video. So if you want to hear the full interview with Michael, go check out the audio podcast episode at basedonatruestorypodcast.com/151. Once again, that's basedonatruestorypodcast.com/151. And don't forget, if you want to dive deeper into the story behind the movie Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, go pick up a copy of Michael's book called David Crockett, the Lion of the West. In the meantime, for more recaps and full-length episodes of Based on a True Story, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks for watching.